So, good morning viewers. Quite surprised it's actually relatively sunny at the moment, because when I set off this morning at the crack of dawn, it was I would say chucking it down with rain. So the last time you saw me out walking, I was out on the North Downs Way, and last week I was out doing 13 miles between Ash and West Byfleet on the Basingstoke Canal, and today I'm out doing 14 miles from Guildford down the Wey Navigation. So the Wey Navigation is a canal which is formed from a river, the River Wey. And the River Wey is quite unusual because it's actually formed from two rivers who are both called the River Wey. So one of the rivers starts in Alton in Hampshire, the other one starts in Haslemere, and then somewhere down the line they kind of join together and become the River Wey. So yeah, so the back in the 1790s, the people of Guildford decided that they wanted to transport their goods to London, and they looked at the River Wey and thought, hang on a minute, that's deep enough to float a boat in. Maybe we could use that to get down to London, because the River Wey goes into the River Thames. But then because it's a river, it's often fast flowing, and consequently you don't want the if you've got a barge being pulled by a horse, you don't want the barge suddenly accelerating, hammering past the horse and dragging the horse into the river. So what they did was they created a canal from the river, so the river still flows in the same direction and kind of meanders around a bit and all that kind of thing, but they kind of like straightened out the curves with what the cuttings, added some locks, and created a thing called the Wey Navigation. So that's what we're here walking to today. So join me on this, and we'll see how we get on. There should be some interesting stuff to see down here, if you're interested in kind of canal locks and things like that, and waterway management. Guildford is a town that's on just off the A3, which goes down from London to Portsmouth, and it's also a university town, so there are lots of flats for all the students. Actually, my nephew is one of those students. And similarly to the what you find on quite a bit of the Basingstoke Canal, is that people's houses back onto the canal, and in some cases they leave it to wreck and ruin, like that one with the paddle boat. That's weird, isn't it? The Jethro Tull. It's got some like paddle arrangement on the back of it rather than propellers. And then you get some other people who make a point of their kind of like riverside connection and have kind of like outdoor furniture and barbecues and things. So after this rather nicely appointed pub called the Row Barge, down by the riverside, the navigation continues down there in that direction, and the river continues in that direction over there. But you'll see on the bridge as we get down there, someone's painted a no entry sign. That that red blob on there with the white cross on it is a UK sign for no entry. And that's the way the river goes down there. Now you see that big kind of red brick building up there, that's one of the old flour mills from here, which has now been taken over by the Surrey Advertiser, a local newspaper. It's just been passed by after a bit of a hectic dash across the road. I've just been passed by a group of young people paddling kayaks down the river, and yes, I was kind of forgetting that even though I've taken a day off work, it's still the school summer holidays, and I guess these kids are out on an activity camp, which is good to see. It's a lot better than sitting in front of the television and playing video games all day. So when you're walking along these canals, when you see lots of boats parked up, it's either a wharf or there's a lock, and in this case it's a lock. Now, one of the problems with the I should really talk to camera, shouldn't I? So one of the problems with the Basingstoke Canal was that it didn't have any top feeder lakes, and consequently during the summer months the canal ran dry, because every time you fill a lock and then empty it, it uses something in the region of 250,000 gallons of water. That's assuming that it's kind of like a double width lock, that's like on the Kennet and Avon Canal, where they're capable of taking the boats called wide beams, which are double the width narrow boats. Yeah, so in the Basingstoke Canal, the top of the canal, because it goes up over a hill by Frimley, often ran dry. But the beauty of the Wey Navigation is that it's not going to run dry because it's fed by a river. And similarly with the River Thames, all the locks on there, people are quite happy for them to open and close the locks as they wish, because there's so much water. Pontoon here is so that people in kayaks and canoes and things can get out of the river and get past the lock. But this part here is the river. So remember where it said no entry? This is the part of the river where it said no entry. And then this slightly higher up bit is the Wey Navigation. I'll wander down to the lock. It always amazed me that with locks, these mitre locks were designed by Leonardo da Vinci in the 1500s. Crazy, isn't it? So, as you can see in here, you've got the two lock gates here, and then there's this bit down here which is called the sill, and you don't want your boat parked on that bit when the water's going up and down, because obviously it'll tilt the boat up and down. But normally they have rather than just a white line over there to mark where the sill is, they usually have something that says sill on it, but hey ho. So up here there's one of the old wooden barges. These would have been towed by a horse and steered obviously by that rudder at the back of the boat. This down here is the lock keeper's cottage. So nowadays you can operate the locks yourself if you have the correct key and stuff. But in days gone by, you used to have people who were dedicated, lived in these houses, and to speed up the efficiency of transport through the lock, then they had somebody employed to actually operate the lock for people, so they didn't have to get off the boat. So I'm walking down here and coming off at Addlestone, which is, given I've just walked 2 and a bit miles, it's another 12 miles away. I better get cracking. Just one of those things for when you're out in the British countryside. I just got stung by nettles as I brushed my arm as I was walking past there, and just treated it with this stuff. So growing near to nettles, you usually find this stuff which is called dock leaf, and you can use dock leaf to take the pain away from a nettle sting. It's a useful trick to know. Well, it was supposed to be cloudy all day was the weather forecast, but clearly not. So we come to here where it says danger weir. There's some protection boards so that people don't go down it in the boat, but effectively the river continues going in that direction, and then the navigation. So to try and explain it on the map, I'll see if I can do a picture of the map, but effectively the river goes in a big kind of windy kind of U shape and then joins a bit further down there, and what they've done with the navigation is just to cut through all that lot and create this section of canal which goes down there. Not sure what this rolling pin's for. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's to haul boats off that have accidentally gone down the weir. Maybe, I don't know. Anybody any ideas? What's this rolling pin for? I've got to say, this is a lot prettier than the Basingstoke Canal. So I'll just read you. So this is Bowers Mill and Bridge. Although historical records are unclear, it's thought that the original Bowers Mill was built when the Wey Navigation was constructed in the 1650s. A paper mill was built next to the lock in 1733, and by 1779 there was also a corn mill here. The mill went out of use by 1910 and was demolished in 1945. The present mill building, which is now converted to a residence, was preceded by a laundry for Sutton Place. Built by the Duke of Sutherland, the adjacent building was where the miller lived. There's a building. Nice, isn't it? Oh, doggy. There's the weir. So this side channel here, taken off the river, would have been probably for a water wheel, I guess, to drive the mills. But obviously the navigation continues this way. So we'll see what the rise is on this lock. Yeah, it looks like about 2.5 metres maybe. Quite a deep lock. You'll notice on the lock gate there's a date of 2016. So obviously, because this is a navigable waterway and people still use it for such, even if it's just like pleasure cruising or something like that, these lock gates are actually manufactured and built by the Canal and River Trust in their workshop in Birmingham. A better view of the house. So when I said back there that the river makes like a U-turn, so it comes out here and rejoins the navigation. So the navigation comes out this way and the river comes this way, and it all joins together to become back to the River Wey. Oh, boiler grating. This stuff is called boiler grating. Years and years ago, when I was a teenager, I used to work in a power station, and we used to have this stuff in the power station. And the idea was that because it was a coal-fired power station, and the dust kind of accumulated, it wouldn't accumulate on each successive floor of boiler grating, because it all falls to the bottom, and then you can all sweep it up, kind of thing, or suck it up or whatever. But that's the idea of boiler grating. That looks like 1920s sign writing. So obviously the oh, hello, another rolling pin, this time made out of wood. Oh, I wonder if it was, I just had a thought there. I wonder if it's to use as a, you kind of like put a rope around it, and then if you were like using a horse-drawn barge, whilst the horse goes up and over the bridge, you use that rolling pin to kind of pull the boat through. Maybe that's it. Overturned at one point. There's another one. Oh, that's about. So after a quite some time of very narrow footpath, it's that kind of thing where it's clearly it's been formed from somebody cycling down here. It's like my hips are obviously wider than that track, so you're kind of like you're walking along and it's kind of like you got one leg up and one leg down, a bit like a haggis. Yeah, it's not hard work. Anyway, so we at this bridge, we're crossing over to the other riverbank. An earlier video that I did was about the gunpowder mills at Cholsey. I'll put a link up to it in the description up there, and you can have a look. Some of it is walking North Downs way, but you can skip ahead, and it'll you can see the gunpowder mills, or what remains of the gunpowder mills. They were in use from the 1600s all the way through to I think the 1940s. I think they were still making gunpowder there. So anyway, here's where I've walked. And here's where I'm walking to. Hopefully that path's a bit wider, and then I won't be walking like a haggis. Oh, hard work. Another wharf, so we must be coming up to a lock. Let's see what the rise is on this one. Yeah, it looks like another 2.5–3 metre rise. Another lockkeeper's cottage. Probably being recorded by that Ring doorbell. Everybody wave. That's an interesting arrangement. So these, each one of these things controls a paddle within the gate to let the water out, but you normally only have one paddle. So I guess for speed, if they had two paddles, it'll whoosh out. So this is Triggs Lock. Where are we? Bowers Lock we came past. What we're on there? Worsfold Gate. We must be around here somewhere. Given that everybody's kind of like pointed there and wiped all the printing off the map. But, so there's an interesting thing about the Worsfold gates. So it's a lock, but it doesn't have any rise. So it's just two lock gates side by side, but no rise. I'll show you that in a sec. This is Worsfold Gates. The river kind of goes down that way, the navigation goes this way. So this cottage here, or this little building here, was supposed to be, or reputedly is where the navvies slept when they were digging out the canal. So you can see that this lock gate doesn't have the kind of traditional sluices. that you would normally have, where you kind of like you'd have to wind it up or wind it down with a lock key. These just have pegged ones, so they are permanently open or permanently closed, and you'll see that there's no rise between the two. So apparently what these were used for was flood prevention, so to maintain the levels of water in the canal at a reasonable level. They used these almost like sluice gates. So when the normal running and operation of the canal was that these gates would be open, constantly open to all, but if there were times of flooding, then they would close the top sluice gate here, and then all the water coming down that way would be diverted down the river channel and then join the canal a bit further down at the next lock. So over there in the distance is a place called Newark Priory, and it's next door to Newark Lock, where it says opened in 1633 next to the ruins of Newark Priory. I guess it's ruined during the dissolution of the monasteries, whenever that was, but the reign of King Henry VIII, which is kind of unusual really, because Newark is a town in Nottinghamshire. It's nowhere near here. Okay, so we're now at 12.1 miles. 12.1 miles or thereabouts. So this railway bridge in front of us here is the main London to Woking railway line. And then this bridge is the bridge that joins onto the towpath for the Basingstoke Canal. Basingstoke Canal. Yeah. Greywell, 31 miles. Been down there on my mountain bike. And now peeking through the trees there you can see an electricity substation. So this will be a cable tunnel. And then this huge structure in front of us here is the M25. The London's orbital car park. Motorway. I meant motorway. It's usually at a standstill, which is why I call it the orbital car park. And this will be with us for a little while now. So made it. It's at 13.8 miles. We're at Cox's Lock, and this is where I'm going to end my walk. This collection of buildings in front of us was Cox's Mill, but now it's a bunch of posh apartments, I guess. So thank you for bearing with me on this really long walk. I'm going to end it here because the next part of the walk is through a really boring housing estate to go and get my train at Addlestone to get home. So all in all, the whole walk is supposed to be 14.3 miles. If you include the walk into the train station, it's going to be 1.2 miles on top of that. So okay, great, see you later, thanks for watching.